December 3rd, 2008. Elon Musk was already losing everything. Tesla had days to live. SpaceX had watched 3 rockets explode, and he was sleeping on factory floors. Then his phone rang. His brother Kimball was crying. "I've lost everything in a bet," he whispered. What happened next would prove that the strongest people don't stand alone. They stand together. This is the true story of a choice that changed everything. The morning of December 3rd, 2008, started like every other terrible morning that year for Elon Musk. He sat alone in his glass office at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Outside his window, engineers walked past carrying rocket parts. Inside, Elon stared at numbers that made his stomach hurt. Tesla had $9 million left in the bank. The company needed $40 million, or it would die. His other company, SpaceX, had just watched 3 rockets explode. Each explosion cost $60 million. Both companies were bleeding money like a cut that wouldn't stop. Elon hadn't slept in his own bed for 2 weeks. He'd been sleeping on the factory floor at Tesla, trying to fix problems faster than new problems appeared. His eyes burned, his head pounded. He was 37 years old and facing the biggest failure of his life. The phone on his desk rang. Elon almost didn't answer it. He was tired of bad news, tired of investors saying no, tired of reporters writing articles about how his companies would fail. But something made him pick up the phone. "Elon!" The voice on the other end was shaking. It was Kimball, his younger brother, his best friend since childhood. "Hey, what's wrong?" Elon sat up straight. Kimball never sounded scared. There was a long silence. Elon could hear Kimball breathing on the other end of the line. He heard something else, too. Kimball was crying. "I've lost everything," Kimball whispered. Elon's heart dropped into his stomach. "What do you mean? What happened?" Kimball took a deep breath. "I made a bet. A stupid, terrible bet. And I lost." Elon stood up from his desk. His hands felt cold. "Tell me everything, right now." "6 months ago, I met a man named Marcus Thornwell," Kimball began. His voice cracked with every word. "He's a hedge fund manager. Rich, really rich. He made millions betting that the housing market would crash." Elon knew the name. Marcus Thornwell had been in the Wall Street Journal. The man was famous for making money when other people lost everything. "He came to Boulder," Kimball continued, "to a charity poker tournament I was hosting for sustainable farming. He walked right up to me at my restaurant, the kitchen. He said terrible things about you, Elon, about Tesla, about SpaceX." "What kind of things?" Elon's voice was quiet but hard as steel. "He said you were going to fail. He said Tesla would be bankrupt by the end of the year. He called you a dreamer playing with rockets while real men made real money." Kimball's voice turned angry now. "He laughed at our family. He said the Musk brothers were just lucky fools who got rich once and would die poor." Elon closed his eyes. He'd heard words like that before, many times, but it hurt more knowing his brother had to hear them. "Then Marcus made me an offer," Kimball said. "A bet, $2.3 million. He said Tesla would be dead by December 31st, and he wanted me to bet against you, to bet against my own brother." Elon felt sick. "Please tell me you didn't take that bet." Silence filled the phone line. "Kimball?" Elon's voice rose. "Please tell me you didn't." "I took it," Kimball said quietly. "But not the way he wanted. I bet for you. I bet that Tesla would survive. I put up everything, Elon. My share of the kitchen restaurants, my house in Boulder, my savings, everything I built after we sold Zip 2. I believed in you. I still believe in you." Elon sat back down in his chair. His mind raced through calculations. December 3rd, 28 days until December 31st. Tesla had $9 million and needed $40 million. The math was simple and brutal. Tesla would almost certainly be bankrupt before the year ended. "There's more," Kimball said, and now his voice sounded hollow and empty. The bet wasn't just about money. Marcus put it in the contract. If I lose, when I lose, I have to take out a full-page advertisement in the Wall Street Journal. I have to write that visionary entrepreneurs are just lucky fools, that people like you are destroying wealth, not creating it. I have to say these things using my own name, the Musk name. Elon felt anger rising in his chest like hot lava. This wasn't just a bet. This was designed to humiliate, to destroy. "I have 72 hours, Kimball whispered. "The lawyers sent papers this morning. Everything I own gets taken in 3 days. My restaurants, my home. Jen and the girls will lose everything because I believed in you when I should have been smarter." "Don't say that," Elon said sharply. "Don't you ever say you were wrong to believe." "But I'm going to lose, Elon. We both know Tesla can't survive. You've told me yourself. The numbers don't work. The investors won't help. I'm going to lose everything, and I'm going to have to tell the world that my brother is a fool." Kimball was crying again now, really crying, the way he hadn't cried since they were boys in South Africa. Elon stared out his office window at the rockets being built. Impossible rockets that people said would never fly. He thought about impossible electric cars that people said would never sell. He thought about two brothers from Pretoria, who people said would never amount to anything. "Where are you right now?" Elon asked. "Home, in Boulder." "I'm getting on a plane," Elon said. "Don't sign anything. Don't talk to anyone. I'm coming." "Elon, you can't leave. Tesla needs you. SpaceX needs you." "You're my brother," Elon said simply. "You need me more." He hung up the phone and stood at his window for one more moment. Outside, engineers were building the future. Inside his chest, something else was being built. A decision that would teach the world what loyalty really meant. But first, he needed to understand something. Why would Marcus Thornwell, a billionaire hedge fund manager, care so much about destroying two brothers from South Africa? That question would haunt Elon all the way to Boulder. The answer would change everything. He grabbed his jacket and walked out of his office, leaving the financial reports on his desk. Numbers could wait. His brother couldn't. Those two words echoed in Elon's mind as his private plane climbed into the gray December sky. He leaned his head against the cold window and watched California disappear beneath the clouds. Elon closed his eyes and saw Kimball's face. Not the successful restaurant owner Kimball had become, but the scared little boy Kimball used to be. South Africa, 1983. Pretoria. Elon was 12 years old. Kimball was 11. They attended Bryanston High School, where being smart and small made you a target. Elon remembered that day perfectly. He'd been reading in the library during lunch, a book about rockets and space. 5 older boys found him there. They called him names, pushed him. When Elon tried to walk away, they followed. They cornered him at the top of the concrete stairs. "Think you're better than us?" the biggest boy sneered. "Think your books make you special?" Elon didn't answer. He'd learned that talking back only made things worse. The boy shoved him hard. Elon stumbled backward. His feet slipped. He fell down the concrete stairs, tumbling over and over. His head cracked against the steps. His vision went white with pain. He woke up in the hospital with a concussion and a broken nose. But what Elon remembered most wasn't the pain. It was Kimball's face when he visited the hospital that night. Kimball sat beside Elon's bed, his own face covered in bruises and cuts. "What happened to you?" Elon had asked, his words slurred from the medication. "I found the boys who hurt you," Kimball said quietly. "All 5 of them." "Kimball, you're smaller than they are?" "I don't care," Kimball interrupted. His eyes were fierce and bright. "You touch my brother, you deal with me. That's the rule. That's always been the rule." Kimball had fought all 5 boys. He lost badly. But he made sure they knew. Hurt Elon Musk, and his brother would make you pay. Now that was Kimball, loyal to the bone, loyal even when loyalty meant getting hurt. The plane touched down in Denver. Elon rented a car and drove to Boulder through the December cold. As he drove, he remembered everything they'd built together. Palo Alto, California. Elon was 24. Kimball was 23. They'd just arrived from Canada with almost no money and a crazy dream. They rented a tiny office on University Avenue for $400 a month. The office had no shower and no bedroom, but it had internet and computers. That was enough. They borrowed $28,000 from their father, Errol. It was the only help he ever gave them. The money went to buy 1 computer and basic software. Elon and Kimball created Zip2, a company that would help newspapers put their content online with maps and business directories. They couldn't afford an apartment, so they slept in the office. They showered at the YMCA on Page Mill Road. Elon coded at night, his fingers flying across the keyboard until sunrise. Kimball handled business during the day, selling their software to newspapers that didn't understand the internet yet. They shared everything. 1 computer, 1 dream, 1 can of beans for dinner. Kimball remembered finding Elon asleep at the keyboard one morning, his face pressed against the keys. He'd been coding for 36 hours straight, trying to fix a bug that was breaking their system. "You need to sleep," Kimball had said, shaking his brother awake. "I need to finish this," Elon mumbled. "The Navajo Times is coming tomorrow. If this doesn't work, we lose the deal." "Then I'll help you," Kimball said. He pulled up a chair. "Show me what to do." Elon taught Kimball basic coding that night. Together, they fixed the bug by morning. The Navajo Times became their first customer. Then came the New York Times. Then the Chicago Tribune. 4 years later, in February 1999, Compaq Computer Corporation bought Zip2 for $307 million in cash. Elon received $22 million. Kimball received $15 million. They were millionaires, but more importantly, they were brothers who had survived together. Elon pulled into Kimball's driveway in Boulder just as the sun was setting. The house was beautiful, a modern home with large windows and a garden in the back, where Kimball grew vegetables for his restaurants. Kimball opened the door before Elon could knock. His eyes were red from crying. His face looked 10 years older than it had a week ago. They didn't speak. Elon pulled his brother into a hug. "I'm sorry," Kimball whispered. "I'm so sorry." "Stop," Elon said firmly. "Don't apologize for believing in me." They went inside. Kimball's wife, Jen, sat at the kitchen table with their 2 young daughters, who were drawing pictures with crayons. The girls ran to hug Uncle Elon. After the girls went to bed, the 3 adults sat at the same kitchen table where Kimball and Jen had planned their wedding, where they'd celebrated holidays, where they'd built a life. Now that table was covered with legal documents. "Show me everything," Elon said. Kimball pulled out the contract. It was 20 pages long, written in dense legal language, but the key parts were simple and brutal. Bet terms. Amount: $2.3 million. Condition: Tesla Motors must remain solvent and operational through December 31st. To 2008, if Kimball loses, all assets seized, plus mandatory Wall Street Journal advertisement, no extensions, no exceptions. Elon read every word carefully. His jaw tightened. "This isn't a normal bet," Elon said slowly. "This is personal. Marcus Thornwell wanted to hurt us, specifically. But why?" "I don't know," Kimball admitted. "I've tried to figure it out. He has billions. What does he care about two brothers and an electric car company?" Elon flipped to the back of the contract. There was an email address for Marcus Thornwell's lawyer. "There's something we're missing," Elon said. "Something bigger than money." Jen spoke for the first time. Her voice was steady but sad. "Does it matter why? In 3 days, we lose everything. The restaurants Kimball built from nothing. This house where we're raising our daughters, our savings, everything." She looked at Elon with desperate hope. "Can Tesla survive? Tell us the truth. Is there any chance?" Elon wanted to lie. He wanted to say everything would be fine. But he'd never lied to Kimball, and he wouldn't start now. The honest answer? Elon took a deep breath. "No. Tesla has $9 million left. We need $40 million by the end of the month, or the company dies. Every investor I've talked to has said no. The financial crisis has frozen all the money. General Motors is going bankrupt. Nobody wants to invest in car companies right now, especially electric car companies." Kimball's face went pale. "So I'm going to lose." "Probably," Elon said quietly. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Kimball stood up and walked to the window. Outside, snow was starting to fall on his garden, and the vegetables he'd planted were covered in white. "I believed in you," Kimball said, his voice breaking. "I saw you stand in that burned garage in April when the Tesla prototype caught fire. Everyone wanted to quit. You said, 'We're not building cars. We're building the future. Try again.' I believed those words, Elon. I believed them so much I bet everything." Elon stood and walked to his brother's side. They watched the snow fall together, like they'd watched stars fall in the African sky when they were boys. "You weren't wrong to believe," Elon said softly. "Even if we fail, you weren't wrong." Kimball turned to face his brother. Tears ran down his cheeks. "What am I going to tell my daughters? How do I explain that Daddy lost their home because he believed in Uncle Elon's dream?" That question cut deeper than any fall-down concrete stairs. Elon didn't have an answer yet, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would not let his brother face this alone. At that exact moment, Elon's phone buzzed. An email from an unknown address. The subject line made his blood run cold. The bet was never about money. You'll understand soon enough. MT. Marcus Thornwell was watching them, and whatever game he was playing, it was just beginning. Elon stared at his phone screen. The email had no message, just that one chilling subject line. He showed it to Kimball. "He sent this right now?" Kimball's hands shook as he held the phone. "How does he know you're here?" "I don't know," Elon said. But we need to understand who we're dealing with." They spent the next hour researching Marcus Thornwell on Kimball's laptop. What they found made the situation even stranger. Marcus Thornwell was 53 years old. He'd made his first fortune in the 1990s tech boom, then lost most of it in the 2000 crash. But he came back stronger. In 2007, he bet against the housing market before anyone else saw the crisis coming. He made $847 million when the market collapsed. Forbes called him the man who saw tomorrow. Wall Street Journal called him America's smartest gambler. But there was something else, something darker. "Look at this," Kimball said, pointing to an article from the Denver Post dated May 2006. The headline read, "Hedge fund manager's son dies in apparent suicide." Elon leaned closer to read. Marcus Thornwell's only son, the Christopher Thornwell, age 28, had jumped from his apartment building in Manhattan. Christopher had been a stock trader who lost $12 million of his father's money in a bad investment. The article quoted Marcus, "My son made poor choices. Business is about discipline and consequences. I taught him that weakness has no place in finance." Elon felt sick reading those words. A father talking about his dead son like a failed business deal. "What kind of man talks like that?" Kimball whispered. They kept searching. More articles, more pieces of a terrible puzzle. After his son's death, Marcus became obsessed with testing people. He would approach entrepreneurs and make elaborate bets, always designed to see if they would crack under pressure. He called it separating the strong from the weak. Most people said no to his bets, but some said yes. Marcus always won, always. "He's playing with us," Elon said quietly. "This isn't about money. He wants to watch us break." Kimball closed the laptop. His face looked gray in the dim light. "Then I gave him exactly what he wanted. I walked right into his trap." "No," Elon said firmly. "You believed in something. That's not weakness. That's courage." "Courage doesn't pay back $2.3 million, Kimball said bitterly. Jen had been sitting silently, listening. Now she spoke. "Tell him the whole story, Kimball. Tell him about April." Kimball looked at his wife, then back at Elon. "I was going to tell you. I didn't want to add more pressure." "Tell me what?" Elon asked. Kimball took a deep breath. "In April, I came to visit you at Tesla. So you were working on the Roadster prototypes at that facility in Fremont before you moved to the big factory. Remember?" Elon nodded. April 2008 felt like a lifetime ago. "You were testing one of the battery systems," Kimball continued. "I was standing in the garage watching. Then I saw smoke. The battery caught fire. Flames everywhere. The engineers panicked. They were running, grabbing fire extinguishers, shouting that the whole prototype would explode." Elon remembered. That fire had cost them $340,000 and 3 weeks of work. "Everyone wanted to quit," Kimball said. "I heard them talking. They said electric cars were too dangerous. They said you were pushing too hard, taking too many risks. They wanted to tell you the dream was over." "But they didn't quit," Elon said. "Because of what you did next." Kimball's voice grew stronger now. "You walked right into that garage while smoke was still pouring out. You stood there in the char and ash. Your face was black with soot. And you said, 'We're not building cars. We're building the future. Try again.'" Kimball's eyes filled with tears, but these were different tears. Not sadness, something else. "Those engineers looked at you like you were crazy," Kimball continued. "But then they picked up their tools and started cleaning up the mess. They started planning how to rebuild better, stronger, safer. I watched you turn disaster into determination with 6 words. 'We're building the future. Try again.' That's when I knew," Kimball said, his voice rising with passion. "I knew Tesla would survive. I knew you'd find a way. When Marcus approached me 2 months later with his bet, I didn't hesitate. I'd seen proof that you don't quit. Ever." Elon felt something tight in his chest. He remembered that fire. He remembered feeling terrified that someone would get hurt. He remembered wondering if he was leading good people toward failure. But he'd never known that his words had meant so much to his brother. "So when Marcus offered the bet in June," Kimball said, "I took it. Not because I'm stupid, because I believe in you more than I believe in anything else in this world." The room fell silent. except for the wind outside, blowing snow against the windows. Elon stood up and walked to the window. Boulders stretched out below, lights twinkling in the dark. Somewhere in this city, or maybe in New York or San Francisco, Marcus Thornwell was probably smiling, thinking he'd already won. "Tell me the exact terms again," Elon said. "To every detail." Kimball pulled out the contract. Tesla must be solvent and operational on December 31st, 2008. That's 28 days from now. If Tesla goes bankrupt before then, I lose everything. If Tesla survives, I win everything, plus Marcus pays me $2.3 million. And if you lose? Everything gets seized. My restaurants, this house, my savings, about $1.8 million. Plus, I have to take out a full-page advertisement in the Wall Street Journal saying that visionary entrepreneurs are lucky fools who destroy wealth instead of creating it. Elon did the math in his head. Quick calculations he'd done 1,000 times. Tesla had $9 million in the bank right now. Payroll for December was $3 million. Factory costs were $2 million. Parts and suppliers needed $4 million. That left $0 for January. But they needed $40 million total to survive until they could launch the Roadster and start selling cars. Without that money, Tesla would be bankrupt by mid-January at the latest. Even worse, the global financial crisis had frozen everything. Lehman Brothers had collapsed in September. The stock market had crashed. Banks weren't lending. Investors were terrified. And just last week, General Motors, the biggest car company in America, had gone to Congress begging for a bailout to avoid bankruptcy. Nobody wanted to invest in car companies, especially not electric car companies run by a guy who also built rockets that kept exploding. The odds were impossible. "There's something else," Kimball said quietly. "The contract has a clause. If you try to help me pay the bet directly, I automatically lose." Marcus thought of everything. He knew you'd try to save me." Elon turned from the window. "So if I write you a check for $2.3 million, you lose anyway?" "Yes. The money has to come from me winning the bet. From Tesla surviving." It was a perfect trap. Marcus had made sure that the only way Kimball could win was if Tesla survived. And Marcus clearly believed Tesla would die. Elon looked at his brother, really looked at him. Kimball's face was pale and thin. He'd lost weight from stress. His hands trembled slightly. This bet was killing him slowly. And it was all because Kimball believed in his big brother. "I need to tell you something," Elon said. He sat back down at the table. "Something I haven't told anyone." Kimball and Jen both leaned forward. "I have $40 million left," Elon said. "Oh, it's everything remaining from the PayPal sale after all my investments in Tesla and SpaceX. It's my safety net, my backup plan." "That's good," Kimball said hopefully. "You can survive even if—" "Tesla needs exactly $40 million to survive," Elon interrupted. "I've run the numbers every possible way. $40 million gets us to March, when the Department of Energy loan might come through. Anything less, and we're dead." The hope drained from Kimball's face. "So if you save Tesla, you'll have nothing left." "Nothing," Elon confirmed. "I'll be personally bankrupt. I'm already paying child support to Justine for our 5 sons. I'm living on the factory floor because I can't afford my apartment anymore. If I put everything into Tesla and we still fail, I'll lose it all." "Then don't do it," Kimball said desperately. "Let Tesla go. Save yourself. You can start another company. You're brilliant. You'll rebuild." Elon shook his head. "My friends tell me the same thing. They say I should choose, save Tesla or save SpaceX, but not both. Let one die so the other can live. Be smart. Be practical. What do you tell them? Jen asked. I tell them no, Elon said simply. I'd rather try and fail than never try at all. He pulled out his laptop and opened his banking website. He showed them the account. $40,200,000. This is everything I have, Elon said. And I've made a decision. 20 million goes to Tesla. That gets us close to what we need, but not quite there. I'll have to find the rest somewhere else. What about the other 20 million? Kimball asked. Elon looked his brother straight in the eyes. So 10 million goes to SpaceX to keep the rockets flying. And 10 million... He paused. The next words would change everything. 10 million becomes a loan to you. No interest. No timeline for repayment. You use it however you need to survive this. Kimball jumped up from his chair. No, absolutely not. Tesla needs that money. You're my brother, Elon said calmly. You need it more. Elon, listen to me. No, you listen to me. Elon's voice rose for the first time. You stood up to 5 boys who put me in the hospital. You coded with me for 36 hours straight to save our first business deal. You believed in me when I was standing in a burned garage covered in ash. You bet everything you own because you had faith in your brother. Now it's my turn. Tears ran down Kimball's face. You can't save me and save Tesla, and the math doesn't work. Then we changed the math, Elon said. He pulled out his checkbook. Yes, he still used paper checks, and began to write. What are you doing? Kimball whispered. Proving that loyalty matters more than money. Elon's pen moved across the check. The scratching sound filled the quiet kitchen. Outside, snow continued to fall, covering Boulder in white silence. Kimball watched his brother write, unable to speak. His whole body felt frozen. Elon tore the check from the book and held it up. $10 million. Made out to Kimball Musk. Take it, Elon said. Kimball stepped backward like the check was on fire. No, I won't let you destroy yourself to save me. I'm not destroying myself, Elon said calmly. I'm choosing what matters most. Tesla matters most, Kimball shouted. You've worked for years building that company. See, electric cars will change the world. You can't throw that away. You're my brother, Elon said. Those 4 words, spoken so quietly, seemed louder than Kimball's shouts. Jen sat at the table crying silently. She loved her husband. She loved their life. But she also understood what Elon was offering to sacrifice. Please, Kimball begged, please don't do this. Let me lose the bet. Let Marcus take everything. I'll rebuild. I'm young. I have time. And what happens to your daughters? Elon asked. They lose their home 3 days before Christmas. You lose the restaurants you built from nothing. And you have to tell the whole world that believing in your brother made you a fool. You think I can live with that? Kimball sat down heavily in his chair. His hands covered his face. You're supposed to be the smart one, not the one who thinks logically. This isn't logical. You're right, Elon agreed. It's not logical. But some things matter more than logic. He placed the check on the table between them. They sat in silence for a long time. The kitchen clock ticked. Snow piled higher on the windowsills. Somewhere in the house, one of Kimball's daughters coughed in her sleep. Finally, Kimball spoke. His voice was barely a whisper. Tell me the truth. If you give me this money, what happens to Tesla? Elon took a deep breath. I put in 20 million. I beg every investor I know for the other 20 million. Maybe I get it. Probably I don't. Tesla has maybe a 30% chance of survival. 30%, Kimball repeated. And if you kept all 40 million for Tesla? 50% chance. Maybe 60 if we're lucky. So giving me this money cuts Tesla's chances in half? Yes. And if Tesla dies, you lose everything anyway. All 40 million. Gone. Yes. Kimball looked at his brother with anguish in his eyes. Then why? Why would you make Tesla's chances worse to save me? Elon leaned forward. His face was serious, but calm. Let me tell you what I was thinking about on the plane ride here. Do you remember Dad's house in Pretoria? That big empty house where we grew up? Kimball nodded slowly. I remember feeling alone there, Elon continued. Dad was always angry or distant. Mom was in Johannesburg. The house was full of people, but I felt invisible, except for one person. You. Elon's voice grew softer. You were the only one who saw me, really saw me. When the bullies beat me up, you fought them even though you were smaller. When I was coding all night, you brought me food even though you were exhausted. When I wanted to build rockets and everyone said I was crazy, you said, "Show me how to help." Tears filled Elon's eyes now. You've stood beside me every single day since we were children. Through Zip2, through PayPal, through every crazy dream I've ever had. You never asked what you'd get out of it. You just believed. He pushed the check closer to Kimball. Tesla is important. SpaceX is important. But you're my brother. And if I have to choose between saving a company or saving the person who has saved me 1,000 times, that's not even a choice. Kimball picked up the check with shaking hands. But the contract says, if you help me directly, I lose anyway. Marcus thought of that. Then don't use it to pay Marcus, Elon said. Use it to counterbet. Find people who believe Tesla will survive. Make new bets. Win enough to pay Marcus and save yourself. That's incredibly risky, Kimball said. Everything worth doing is risky, Elon replied. You taught me that when you bet everything on Tesla. Now I'm betting everything on you. Jen spoke for the first time in minutes. What if both of you lose? Tesla dies. Kimball loses the counterbets, and you're both bankrupt? Elon smiled. A real smile, the first one in weeks. Then we'll be broke together, just like we were in 1995, sleeping in that office in Palo Alto. We survived then. We'll survive again. We're not 25 anymore, Kimball said. You have 5 kids. I have 2. We have responsibilities. We also have each other, Elon said. See, that hasn't changed. Kimball stared at the check. $10 million. Enough to save his family. Enough to fight back against Marcus Thornwell. But also enough to destroy his brother's last chance of saving Tesla. I can't take this, Kimball said, trying to hand it back. Elon refused to take it. He stood up from the table. Too late. The decision is made. Elon, listen to me, Elon said firmly. In 1983, you fought 5 boys to defend me. You lost that fight badly, got beaten up, but you made sure those boys knew they couldn't touch me without consequences. You didn't think about the odds. You just fought. He put his hand on Kimball's shoulder. Now it's 2008. I'm fighting for you. I don't care about the odds. I don't care if it's logical. You're my brother. End of discussion. Kimball stood up and hugged Elon tight. Now both brothers cried, holding on to each other like they did when they were boys, scared and alone in South Africa, with only each other to count on. Thank you, Kimball whispered. Thank you. They held each other while Jen cried quietly at the table, and snow fell on Boulder and somewhere in New York. Marcus Thornwell waited to see if his cruel experiment would break 2 brothers from Pretoria. But Marcus didn't understand something. He'd lost his son because he taught him that business mattered more than family. That strength meant standing alone. that asking for help was weakness. The Musk brothers learned the opposite. They learned that real strength meant standing together, that the greatest risk was not trying at all, that some things, like loyalty, like love, like brotherhood, mattered more than money or success or logic. 3 days later, on December 6, 2008, Elon wired $20 million to Tesla Motors. The company had enough money to survive until the end of December. Maybe. He wired $10 million to SpaceX. The rockets would keep flying. Maybe. And he wired $10 million to Kimball, who immediately began calling every person he knew who believed in Tesla, building counterbets that could save his family or destroy what little he had left. That same day, Elon received another email from Marcus Thornwell. This one had a message. Interesting choice. Your brother will lose everything anyway. And now you'll be bankrupt too. I'm teaching you both a valuable lesson. Sentiment is expensive. See you on December 31st. MT. Elon deleted the email without responding. He had work to do. $20 million would run out fast, and he needed to find 20 million more or watch Tesla die. And he needed to do it in 25 days. The clock was ticking. The snow kept falling. And two brothers who survived South Africa, survived Zip 2, survived everything life threw at them, faced their biggest test yet. But they would face it together. That was the only equation that mattered. December crawled forward like a wounded animal. Each day brought new problems. Each night brought less sleep. Elon returned to California and threw himself into saving Tesla. He called every investor who'd ever shown interest. Most said no. The economy was collapsing. General Motors was begging Congress for money. Ford's stock had dropped to $2 per share. Nobody wanted to invest in cars, especially electric cars built by a guy who also made rockets. "Oh, you're insane," one investor told Elon on December 10th. "Tesla will be dead by February. Save yourself." Elon hung up and called the next person on his list. In Boulder, Kimball was fighting his own battle. He used Elon's $10 million to approach investors who knew him, who ate at his restaurants, who believed in sustainable food and clean energy. "I'm betting Tesla survives," Kimball told them. "Not because the numbers look good, because I know my brother. He doesn't quit." Some people laughed. Some people said no. But some people remembered eating at the kitchen, remembered Kimball's passion for building something meaningful. A sustainable farming advocate in Colorado bet $500,000 that Tesla would survive. A clean energy investor in California bet $800,000. A tech entrepreneur who'd sold his company and believed in electric vehicles bet $1.2 million. By December 15th, Kimball had collected $3.7 million in counter bets. If Tesla survived, he'd win $7.4 million, enough to pay Marcus and save his family. If Tesla died, he'd lose everything plus the counter bets. He'd be more than $5 million in debt. The brothers talked every night on the phone. "How's it going?" Kimball would ask. "Terrible," Elon would answer honestly. "You?" "Also terrible." Then they'd laugh. Dark, tired laughter. The laughter of two people standing at the edge of a cliff, holding hands. On December 18th, something unexpected happened. Elon was in his office at SpaceX when his assistant knocked on the door. "There's someone here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent." A man in an expensive suit walked in. He was about 50, with gray hair and cold eyes. "Mr. Musk, I'm Richard Chen. I represent Marcus Thornwell." Elon's blood went cold. "What do you want?" "Mr. Thornwell asked me to deliver a message in person." Richard pulled out an envelope. "He's willing to cancel the bet." Your brother keeps everything. No advertisement, no consequences. Elon's heart jumped. What's the catch? You publicly admit that Tesla will fail. Hold a press conference. Tell the world you were wrong about electric cars. That would satisfy Mr. Thornwell's curiosity. Elon stared at the lawyer. He wants me to destroy Tesla's reputation to save my brother? He wants honesty, Richard said smoothly. Tesla is failing anyway. This way, your brother doesn't suffer for your mistakes. For a moment, Elon imagined it. One press conference, a few words. Kimball would be safe. The restaurants would survive. His daughters would keep their home. All Elon had to do was kill Tesla himself instead of watching it die slowly. Get out, Elon said quietly. Mr. Musk, be reasonable. Get out! Elon stood up, his face blazing with anger. Tell Marcus Thornwell that I don't quit. Not on Tesla, not on my brother, not ever. Richard Chen left without another word. That night, Elon told Kimball about the offer. You should have taken it, Kimball said immediately. Save Tesla. I'll survive the bet somehow. No, Elon said. We win together or lose together. That's still the only equation. On December 23rd, 8 days before the deadline, something impossible happened. Elon's phone rang. It was a NASA official named John Holden. Mr. Musk, I have news about SpaceX. We've decided to award you a $1.6 billion contract for cargo resupply missions to the International Space Station. Elon couldn't breathe. What? When? The announcement will be made today. Your fourth Falcon 1 launch in September proved you could do it. We're betting on you. Elon hung up the phone and sat in stunned silence. The SpaceX contract meant the rocket company would survive. More than survive, it would thrive. But it didn't help Tesla. That company still had less than a week to live. Still, it was something. One impossible dream had survived. That same day, Elon received a wire transfer. An anonymous investor had put $20 million into Tesla. $20 million. Exactly what he needed. The wire came with a note. For believing in the impossible. To Merry Christmas. Elon frantically tried to trace the money. His lawyers searched. His accountants investigated. The money came through so many shell companies and offshore accounts that finding the source was impossible. Someone had saved Tesla. But who and why? Elon called Kimball immediately. Tesla just got $20 million. Anonymous. We're going to survive. Kimball started crying on the phone. You won. I won. We both won. But who sent the money? Elon asked. Does it matter? Kimball laughed through tears. We made it, brother. We actually made it. December 31st, 2008, arrived bright and cold. Tesla was solvent. The company had $40 million in the bank, just barely enough to keep operating. Kimball had won his bet. Marcus Thornwell's lawyers contacted him, confirming the loss. Marcus paid $2.3 million. Combined with Kimball's counter-bets, he'd won $7.4 million total. The restaurants were safe. The house was safe. His family was safe. That night, both brothers were too exhausted to celebrate. They talked on the phone one more time. We did it, Kimball said, against all odds. Because we did it together, Elon replied. Neither of them knew that the biggest revelation was still coming. The mystery of who saved Tesla and why Marcus Thornwell really made the bet would change everything they thought they understood. June 2010. 18 months after the bet ended, Tesla was preparing to go public on the stock market. The Roadster was selling. The company had survived. Against all odds, Elon's impossible dream was becoming real. Kimball stood in his restaurant in Boulder, checking the evening reservations. And the kitchen was packed every night now. He'd opened 2 more locations. His daughters were happy and healthy. Life was good. The mailman delivered a thick envelope with no return address. Inside was a handwritten letter on expensive paper. Kimball's hands started shaking as he read the first line. "Dear Kimball Musk, you don't know me, but I know you. My name is Marcus Thornwell." Kimball sat down hard in the nearest chair. His heart pounded. Why was Marcus writing to him now? He kept reading. "I owe you an explanation. The bet I made with you in 2008 was never about money. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. It was about something else entirely, something I lost and can never get back. In 2006, my son Christopher died. The newspapers said it was suicide. That's true, but they didn't tell you why. Christopher worked for my hedge fund. He made a bad investment and lost $12 million of my money. When he came to me, terrified and ashamed, I told him he was weak. I told him that failure had consequences. I told him that in business, you stand alone or you fall alone. 3 days later, my son jumped from his apartment building. He was 28 years old. I found a note in his apartment afterward. It said, "Dad, I needed you to tell me I was more important than the money. I needed you to choose me. You didn't. So I guess I know where I stand." Those words destroyed me. I had taught my son that success mattered more than family, that money mattered more than love, that asking for help was weakness. I killed my son with those lessons. After Christopher died, I became obsessed with a question. Was I the only father who made this terrible mistake? Or do other men choose differently when the stakes are high? So I started testing people, making bets designed to put them in impossible situations. I wanted to see if anyone would choose family over success, choose loyalty over logic. Everyone I tested chose success. Every single person. They let their brothers fail. They let their partners sink. They saved themselves. Until you and Elon. When I approached you about betting on Tesla, I already knew the company would probably fail. I'd done my research. The odds were terrible. But I wanted to see if you'd believe in your brother anyway. You did. You bet everything. Then I watched what Elon did. He had $40 million. Exactly what Tesla needed to survive. Any logical person would have saved the company and let you fail. Business over family, success over sentiment. But Elon chose you. He split his money. He made Tesla's chances worse to give you a fighting chance. That's when I understood. I'd been wrong my entire life. The strongest people don't stand alone. They stand together. I made the anonymous donation to Tesla. $20 million. It was my money that saved the company. Kimball stopped reading, his vision blurred with tears. Marcus Thornwell had saved Tesla. The man who seemed to want them destroyed had actually saved them. He kept reading. "I gave that money because you and your brother taught me something my son never learned. Loyalty isn't weakness. Love isn't failure. And the greatest success is having someone who will stand beside you when everything falls apart. I'm donating my entire hedge fund to mental health services and suicide prevention. I'm telling my story to business schools across America. I'm trying to teach what I learned too late. Family matters more than fortune. People matter more than profit. I'm also establishing a scholarship fund in my son's name, the Christopher Thornwell Foundation. It will help young entrepreneurs who face failure, showing them that one mistake doesn't define them. That asking for help is strength, not weakness. I'm including a check for $2.3 million. I want you to have it back. Use it however you wish. Maybe donate it to a cause you believe in. Maybe save it for your daughters. Or maybe give it to someone who needs to learn what you taught me. That believing in people is the best investment you'll ever make. You saved my life, Kimball. Not my physical life, but my soul. You showed me what I should have shown my son. Thank you for that gift. I hope one day you can forgive me for the pain I caused. With deep respect and gratitude, Marcus Thornwell. Kimball sat in his empty restaurant, holding the letter and crying. Not tears of sadness, tears of understanding. The bet had never been about destroying them. It had been about Marcus trying to find proof that love still existed in a world that taught him to value only money. And two brothers from South Africa had given him that proof. Kimball called Elon immediately. "You're not going to believe this," he said. He read the entire letter over the phone. When he finished, there was a long silence. Finally, Elon spoke. "Marcus saved Tesla?" "Yes." "Because we chose each other?" "Yes." Another long silence. "See, what do we do with this information?" Kimball asked. Elon's answer was simple and perfect. "We donate his money to the scholarship fund. We help other people learn what we already knew." "What's that?" "That the people you love matter more than anything you could ever build." Those words became the foundation of everything that followed. June 29, 2010. NASDAQ stock market, New York City. Elon and Kimball stood together on the trading floor, watching Tesla's stock symbol, TSLA, flash across the screens for the first time. The company was going public at $17 per share. Reporters surrounded them, asking questions about technology and business strategy. But Elon kept looking at his brother, remembering that terrible December night when everything seemed lost. Tesla raised $226 million that day, and the company that almost died was now worth $1.7 billion. When the opening bell rang, Elon didn't smile for the cameras. He turned to Kimball and hugged him tight. "We made it," Kimball whispered. "No," Elon corrected him. "We made it together. That's the difference." September 2012, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Kimball stood in the viewing area at Kennedy Space Center, watching a SpaceX Dragon capsule approach the International Space Station on the giant screens. It was the first private spacecraft ever to dock with the ISS. Elon stood beside him, watching years of impossible work become reality. 3 rocket explosions. Countless failures. Moments when everyone said to quit. But he hadn't quit. "Do you remember sleeping in that office in Palo Alto?" Kimball asked. "Sharing one computer? Showering at the YMCA?" "Every day," Elon said. Those were hard times, but we had each other." "We still do," Kimball said. The Dragon capsule docked successfully. The control room erupted in cheers. Elon allowed himself a small smile. SpaceX was worth $2.4 billion now. The company that started with exploding rockets was now flying to space. March 2015. A classroom in Denver, Colorado. Kimball stood in front of 30 elementary school students, helping them plant vegetables in raised garden beds. This was his new dream. Big Green, a nonprofit organization building learning gardens in schools across America. "Why do plants need sunlight?" a little girl asked, her hands covered in dirt. "Because they're building something," Kimball explained. "Just like you're building your future. But they can't do it alone. They need sun, water, soil, and care. Just like people need other people." The girl smiled and planted her tomato seedling carefully. Since starting Big Green, Kimball had built 350 learning gardens in schools. He was teaching children that growing food meant growing community. That working together created something beautiful. His daughters, now teenagers, volunteered in the gardens every weekend. They'd never forgotten the year they almost lost everything. Now they spent their time helping other families build something lasting. Kimball's phone buzzed. A text from Elon. Tesla just passed 100,000 cars sold. Remember when people said electric cars were impossible? Kimball smiled and texted back. Remember when we had $9 million and needed 40? Elon's response. Remember when we chose each other over everything else? Kimball typed 3 words. Best choice ever. July 2016. Provence, France. Kimball stood at the altar in a beautiful outdoor ceremony, marrying his second wife, Christiana. After his divorce from Jen, he'd found love again with a woman who shared his passion for sustainable food and education. Elon was the best man, of course. At the private dinner that evening, Elon stood to give a toast. The room fell quiet. Everyone knew the Musk brothers' story by now. The bet, the choice, the loyalty that saved them both. In 2008, everyone asked me why I'd risk everything on companies that would probably fail. Elon began. His voice was steady but emotional. Nobody asked why I'd risk everything on my brother. The answer was always simpler. He paused and looked at Kimball. Companies can be rebuilt. Brothers can't be replaced. Kimball's eyes filled with tears. You taught me something that December, Elon continued. You bet everything because you believed in me. Not in Tesla, not in SpaceX, in me. That kind of faith changes you. It makes you want to be worthy of it. Elon raised his glass. So, here's to my brother. The bravest investor I know. The man who taught me that loyalty isn't a luxury for when times are good. It's the foundation that holds everything together when times are impossible. Everyone raised their glasses and cheered. Later that night, the brothers sat outside under the stars. French stars, not African stars, but stars nonetheless. And they were older now. Elon was 45, Kimball was 44. They'd built companies worth billions. They'd changed industries. They'd achieved impossible things. But sitting under those stars, they were just 2 boys from Pretoria again. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd kept all 40 million for Tesla? Kimball asked quietly. Sometimes, Elon admitted. Maybe Tesla would have survived easier. Maybe not. The odds were bad either way. Do you regret choosing me? Elon turned to look at his brother. Never. Not for 1 second. Because here's what I learned that December. Success means nothing if you abandon the people you love to achieve it. I could have been the richest man in the world, but if I'd lost you to get there, I would have been poor in every way that mattered. Kimball nodded, understanding perfectly. Besides, Elon added with a slight smile, we both made it anyway. Tesla survived. SpaceX survived. Your restaurant survived. We did the impossible. Because we did it together, Kimball finished. Always together, Elon agreed. They sat in comfortable silence, 2 brothers who'd survived bullies and bankruptcy, rocket explosions and impossible bets. 2 brothers who chose each other when logic said to choose success. And in choosing each other, they'd found both. December 2021. Tesla became the most valuable car company in the world, worth over $1 trillion. SpaceX was launching astronauts to the International Space Station regularly and building Starship for Mars missions. Big Green had built over 700 learning gardens, teaching hundreds of thousands of children about sustainability and community. The Christopher Thornwell Foundation, funded by Marcus's money and the Musk brothers' donation, had given scholarships to 500 young entrepreneurs who faced failure. The foundation's motto was simple: failure is not final. People matter more than profit. Marcus Thornwell himself had become a speaker, traveling to business schools and telling his story, warning fathers and mothers not to make his mistake, teaching that the strongest investment is in the people you love. He never fully recovered from losing Christopher, but in helping others learn from his tragedy, he found purpose. And in watching the Musk brothers succeed together, he found hope that the next generation might choose differently. January 2022. A quiet morning in Austin, Texas. Elon sat in his office at Tesla's new headquarters. On his desk was a photo from 1995, him and Kimball standing outside their tiny office in Palo Alto, both grinning despite having almost no money and impossible dreams. His phone rang. Kimball, of course. "Hey," Elon answered. "Hey, just calling to say I'm proud of you. Rivian just went public and everyone's comparing them to Tesla. The reporters asked me if I'm worried about competition." "What did you tell them?" "I told them competition is good, that you welcome it, that the goal was never to be the only electric car company. The goal was to prove electric cars could work." Elon smiled. "What else did they ask?" "They asked what made Tesla succeed when so many said it would fail." "And?" Kimball's voice grew soft. "I told them the truth, that you had something competitors don't have. You had someone who believed in you even when the numbers said you'd lose. You had loyalty, and loyalty, I told them, is the most valuable asset any person can have." Elon felt that familiar tightness in his chest. "Thank you for believing, even when I gave you every reason not to. Thank you for choosing me, even when it cost you everything." They talked for a few more minutes about nothing important. Family dinners, their kids, plans for Thanksgiving. Then they said goodbye and hung up. Elon looked at that old photo again. Two young men with one computer and impossible dreams. Two brothers who had nothing but each other. They still had each other. Through everything: success, failure, triumph, tragedy. They still had each other. And that, Elon realized, was the greatest achievement of all. Not the rockets that flew to space. Not the cars that changed an industry. Not the billions of dollars, or the headlines, or the history books. The greatest achievement was simple. Two brothers who stood together when the world said to stand alone. Who chose loyalty when logic said to choose survival. Who proved that love wasn't weakness, it was the strongest force in the universe. Marcus Thornwell had tried to teach his son that business was war and family was secondary. That lesson killed Christopher. The Musk brothers learned the opposite. They learned that family was everything, that standing together made you stronger, that the people you love are worth more than anything you could ever build. That was the lesson the world needed to learn. That was the lesson two brothers from South Africa taught Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and everyone watching. Loyalty isn't a luxury for when times are good. It's the foundation that holds everything together when times are impossible. It's what turns impossible dreams into reality. It's what makes success meaningful. It's everything. That was the end of this story. A true lesson in loyalty that changed two brothers and taught the world what really matters. Where are you listening from? Drop a comment below. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories. Share it with your friends and family to spread kindness and awareness. Together, we can make a difference.